Welcome back. It's been a minute since I've seen you. You look great. You had a little bit of an adventure today, Kate.
I called I called the courthouse. I didn't expect it to be open to the public, so I called ahead of time, and they assured me that I'd be able to watch the hearing. So I went ahead and went in, and I was running late, and so I was the frazzled one this time. And as I got there and was going up the stairs, I saw April at the top of the stairs, and I wasn't expecting that. I think it caught both of us off guard.
So you're walking into the courthouse, a little nervous. You're a little late, so you're trying to get in there. And I guess as soon as you walk in, there's a staircase to go up to put your stuff through a metal detector. Or what are you talking about?
Okay, yeah. So when you first walk in, you put your phone in a locker, and then go through doors. There is a metal detector there, and then right at the end of the metal detector, there's stairs going up. And so I'm grabbing my stuff off the belt from the metal detector and turn to go up the stairs. And as I look up the stairs, April's at the top of the stairs saying something to the guy running the metal detector, but it caught me off guard, so I didn't even catch what she said. But she came down as I went up, and then I got upstairs, and I saw somebody sitting on the bench.
Hold on. So you guys passed each other? Did you look at each other? Like, what was that like?
No, it caught me off guard. I looked down and went up the stairs, and yeah, she passed me. And
Did she recognize you?
I think right when we locked eyes when she was at the top of the stairs, it seemed like there was a recognition there, and oh, there she is.
Kind of. Did she look away like real fast, or did you look away? Like, how did it work?
I looked down.
Stare down?
Yeah. Oh. No.
Okay, so you're getting up to the top. She passes you. You're like, oh my God, that's April Anderson that just walked right past you. Then what are you doing?
I turn and I start walking towards the courtroom, and the doors are already closed. And I was like, oh shit, they started it. Am I allowed to go in? Or like, so I saw somebody sitting outside taking notes. And but right as I go in to open the door to go in the courtroom, Nick comes out, and we're like, yeah, he was coming out right as I was going in, and him, I guess his lawyer went out, and I went ahead and went in, and somebody else was having a hearing.
So do you like hold the door for you? Is like you went in?
I don't even remember. Like, I was frazzled this time. Like they were last time. I was truly frazzled and like out of breath, and like everything was just kind of a blur when I first got there until I had time to sit down and recenter myself.
So you walk right past Nick's lawyers. You then sit down in the benches, and then you realize it's something else going on, not yours, or
yeah, it was a different courtroom, and there was no benches. There rows of plastic seats. Yeah, gray plastic seats. And it was a little bigger this time. But Kayla was sitting over on the other aisle, and
in this courtroom.
Yes. And she had like a food container in her lap. I don't know, salad or something.
A food container? I thought you said boot, like a food container?
Food, yeah.
Like she brought food with her, like she brought her lunch to go to court.
Seemed like it. Seemed like, yeah. So I sat there for about, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes. And there was an old guy that was up there. His case was about driving under the influence of methamphetamines. And he was an old, late 60s.
You know Nick? He was like, hey, Nick. Is there a kid of law? Hey, I need some help.
Yeah, it was future Nick, and he had a pretty, she was an older lady, but a pretty wife, like, and he was like a mess. But anyway, I thought that was funny.
Homewrecker.
Yeah. So I ended up going back out, and
Kayla stayed inside.
Kayla stayed inside at first, And then
what was she dressed like? I mean, last time you said she looked a little disheveled. This time was she, like normal? She just ready to have some num nums, or
they were all dressed nicer this time. Nick was in a suit. Kayla was in black slacks and a black coat or gray coat. I should have took notes.
it's
Better
okay.
notes. Yeah, and then
But she looked professional.
yes, yeah. It was a cute little jacket and slacks.
Nice.
And then April had on black jeans and boots, like almost like combat boots.
Did she have her bow and arrow with her? Was she like just done like crossbow shooting or whatever?
No, she had a lot of jewelry on, a lot of rings and. But
did you see any of her tattoos?
I saw Kayla's tattoos on her feet, on the top of her feet. But no, I didn't see her tattoos. She had a jacket on too.
How did she seem? Was she like, just like, I'm just hanging out? Was it like the first time she got out of the house and she was like, let's do a bunch of stuff? Or like, what was she like?
Well, yeah. So after I went to the bathroom, I came and sat down on the bench next to the other person, a Kiwi farmer, taking notes. And I didn't realize that yet, but April was standing out in the hall at that point, and she was leaning against the wall and just looking down a lot. It seemed a little fidgety. She seemed, they all had like a defeated type of energy this time, like much more subdued, I'd almost say like humbled, a little humbled.
Wow.
Then Kayla came out of the courtroom and they had like a little interaction about the food and that Kayla was holding. And then Kayla said something to April about, I was going to save it, see if Nick wanted it or something like that. But the interaction seemed forced and awkward, and yeah, like they were being cordial because they knew they were being watched.
Did they seem like sister wives?
Well, like competing sister wives, yes. Like there's that, not like the picture we saw from the first hearing, and how their body language at the first hearing was way different than now between the two of them.
Well, what was it like now? What was the difference?
Well, the first hearing, April wasn't in the courtroom, but outside, they were just seemed like they were all gathered like a group and talking and like all friendly. It was very friendly. When watching the group, they just all seemed like they were interacting like really well and naturally. And this time it just, everything seemed very forced, and it just seemed like a kind of a coldness between them.
Wow. So you guys are sitting outside, you're hanging out with this Kiwi farmer. That person is taking notes and stuff like that, like a bunch of notes. What was that person like?
Quiet and taking notes. Yeah.
Did you speak at all to Kayla or to April? Was there an opportunity to like speak with them?
No, I did make eye contact with Kayla a couple times. I actually gave like a half smile, but did not receive one back. With April, we didn't even really make eye contact. Like we glanced at each other, but Kayla kept looking at me.
Really? So she probably recognized you from this video from last time. And so she's like, that's that girl. And then Nick had gotten video of you as well, took pictures of you. So I bet you, she probably put two and two together.
Yeah.
Wow. What would you have said to her if she came to talk to you?
Well, the first hearing, we were in the bathroom alone. Well, her and her mother were in the bathroom with me alone. I didn't say anything that time. This time, if I would have saw her, the only thing I want to say is, are you aware of what April and Nick are doing on Twitter, and if you're not, you need to be. And that I am praying for her and the kids, and I hope she leans on her family. And that's what I would say to her if I had the chance.
What do you think? What would you say to April if you could talk to her one-on-one?
Nothing.
Really?
She's where she wants to be. She's doing, like, there's no reason for me to talk to April. I mean, and she doesn't have kids or anything to, like, let her do what she wants to do. But I really do hope Kayla gets things together and is able to put those kids first. I mean, I hope Nick can get things together. I just don't have faith in it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I would really like to see them have like that family unit. I can't picture that happening with Nick in the picture.
Wow. So it's Nick and April. You think that's the problem is Kayla just should be with the family and stuff like that. Like Nick and April are what's causing the problem with the family.
In my opinion. And yeah, I think I want whatever gives the kids the best, most stable life, and whatever it takes to get them that's what I hope happens. That means Nick goes to jail or long-term rehab or something. Or even Kayla too. With my mom, some of the best times we had, or we were the closest, and the bonding was the best when we weren't even living in the same house, when it was phone calls. And when she was clean, my mom went to prison. When she was in prison, like, she was healthy, and we could actually have real conversations and connect in a way that I didn't get to connect with her, even living in the same house with her. So there is, for people who think that being taken away from your parents, if you're living with family members that are giving the kids a good life, like, that is valuable, and they'll still be able to have a relationship with their parents. And I personally enjoyed my relationship with my mother more when I didn't live with her.
You're at the courthouse. Kayla has had her num-nums, and I guess April's hungry too, or they're going to save it for dear leader, who is talking with the lawyers and such. So does Nick come out? Or are you all just kind of sitting there waiting around? I mean,
so Nick's off in a conference room, and he comes out, starts walking up to them, and he comes up. The bailiff is out there, and Nick has a bottle of pop, as they call it here. I'm not from here, so I call it soda, but it was a bottle of Coke. He actually had Coke, and he said,
he doesn't learn.
Yeah. And the bailiff's like, you can't take that Coke in there. Or I think he said pop. You can't take that pop in there.
He said, 1 minute. Okay, I'm ready.
I found that amusing. I was like, oh, he's trying to bring Coke in the courtroom and he can't.
He really is addicted.
Yeah.
Okay, so he gets the soda, gets 86th. And then it's just you 3 or 4 people, 5 with the bailiff. Like, how does that work?
Yeah, so we go in the courtroom, and the judge and lawyers went back in the judge's chambers, and me and the Kiwi farmers sat down, and then over by the door, Nick was standing with his back like towards the judge's desk, or what is that? It's not like
his seat, his throne.
Yeah, whatever that is.
His perch.
Yeah, it's not a pulpit like a preacher, but yeah,
his bench.
There you go. I think that's it.
The bench. Approach the bench.
Yeah. So Nick had his back to there, and the 2 girls, they were kind of like standing in a triangle, but looking down at the floor a lot. They were talking to each other, but not loud enough for us to hear. And it was weird. There was a weird, awkward tension. It would get real quiet, like to where, nobody was saying a word.
So all you were outside of the courtroom, just sitting there waiting on the lawyers to do their job, or?
We were in the courtroom at this point. We came
Oh,
in.
so all you guys are in there. So could you talk to each other while you were there? Like you just say, hey Nick, what's going on? Like, could you do that? And it'd be okay. Like they would be like, silence the judges, or you know what I mean?
Nope. The bailiff stood by the door, right outside the door. And there was nobody else in there but the five of us. And yeah, because the judge and the lawyers were behind the door in the judge's chambers. So yeah, it was weird. We could have totally said something to them. But
next one, girl, that's what you have to do. You have to talk to these people. Don't be afraid. Talk to them. All they can do is not talk back.
I don't have anything to say to Nick or April. I really don't.
You don't have to have anything to say to them. Just say something to him and just have him say something back to you. Like, hey, Nick, nice shirt. You know what I mean? And just see what he says. I know that's tacky, but like you can say something and see what he does back to you, you know? Same with like all of them, any of them, just to get a response.
I don't have any desire to talk to the two. Like, and I told you what I would say to Kayla.
Yeah.
And
so you're basically there to like, so in this, are you like with Kayla kind of thing? Like if you were to be sitting on the side of the court, would you be sitting like on Kayla's side? Like,
I mean, if there was a side, and I'm not saying that I think Kayla is like innocent in this and that she's like a victim or like, no, she's culpable and she participated in all of it. Just she is the mother to those 5 kids, and if anybody has a chance, I think it's her to turn this around. I think it's her, and I can honestly see with a husband like Nick how she might have ended up in the place where she was at. According, I never watched Nick. I've only gone back and seen clips and stuff now. I had never seen Kayla on the show until after they got arrested and stuff, and I've gone back to see clips. But I can see how a woman could be worn down, especially hearing how he talked about her body being destroyed. And if that's what he's willing to say to his public, humongous audience, imagine what he says to her in private. Like I can see how she might get worn down, and with his narcissistic tendencies and her just wanting to please her husband and him, it not being good enough. And like, I can see where that would wear on somebody, where they might want to take drugs to numb and whatever. And, that doesn't excuse neglecting the kids though,
Do you think it's to numb or to please him?
Probably both. Maybe to please him at first, and then realize that, wait, then I don't have to feel all those feelings I was feeling. That kind of helps, and that became easier. I'm just speculating, but I can totally see how that could happen. And I 100% think that's why April's in the picture, or why they've gone down this path. I've read that people believe that she's the one who initiated this lifestyle, and I don't believe that for a second.
Right, you think it was Nick, and then saw the opportunity to have an April, and I guess she just is, I'm not afraid, but maybe afraid to say no, or is that the proper word? What do you think?
I think she probably she's afraid to lose him, and she wants to do whatever it takes to keep him, and she may even think it was her idea, because I think he's manipulative enough to make her think it was her idea. I see through Nick. I don't know that there is any helping Nick. I really don't know if I think his mask came off. And that's who he's been at his core the whole time. That's my opinion.
Wow. Okay, so you guys are all hanging out in the courtroom. You're waiting on more procedural stuff to go down. The Kiwi farmers just doing their thing. Did they even acknowledge you at all? Like, did you guys have a conversation?
Nick, Kayla, and April walked into the courtroom, and the two of us were back a little bit, and I looked at them and said, "Are you reporting too?" And they said yes, and I was like, "Okay, cool." And then we walked in. We sat by each other,
Nice.
one chair separating us, and so yeah, we did have a little discussion walking out of the courthouse, but
So inside the courtroom, so does like Nick sit in the middle and then like Kayla and April on each side, or was like
they never
really
sat
shunned? Like
they never sat down. They stayed standing. They were talking. Like I said, we could not hear them, but there was an awkwardness. And at one point, Kayla reaches up and puts her hand on. Oh, I forgot. When we first got in there and we first sat down, he goes and gives Kayla a hug, and then he goes and gives April a hug. And then, yeah, then they stood in that like triangle. And then they were there for a while, 5-10 minutes, talking while we're just sitting there waiting. And at one point I look up and Kayla has her hand on Nick. It was kind of awkward. She just kept it there. Nick never acknowledged that her hand was there. I kept seeing April like look and look away, look and look away. And Kayla just kept like, almost like claiming her territory. It felt like, and April looked very uncomfortable with that.
did it look like April belonged in the group type thing, or was like how does this dynamic look? Like how does it feel like? You know what I'm saying? Like you see people that are like together, like they're together, but in this situation, like it seems like Kayla's wanting to be with her man, and then there's this other foreign body kind of on the side. Like how is that dynamic?
It just felt awkward. It didn't feel cohesive. Yeah, I get the impression that Kayla's not wanting to let go, and April's not wanting to let go, and I think Nick wants April, but is shackled by Kayla.
Wow. That's heavy. So you guys are in the courtroom. They're standing up in their triangle, awkward poses. You guys are just sitting there taking notes. The judge and the lawyer comes back. What else happens while you guys are waiting? Like, how does that go down?
Yeah, they finally come out and everybody starts filing out of the courtroom. And we're just sitting there and we look at each other and we're like, okay. And Nick went to walk. He walked out and then he turned around and motioned like this. And I didn't know if he was motioning to them. It almost felt like he was motioning for us. And I said to the other person, I was like, you do that to us? Yeah. And so they went out. I didn't see where they went by the time we left the doors, but the bailiff was standing there, and me and the other person were like looking at each other going, what's going on? What do we do? Where are we going? And we asked the bailiff, and he said, it's over. And we're like, what? And he said, yeah, it's over. And I said, well, what happened? And he said, well, they had a closed conference, or I can't remember the exact phrase, closed chamber conference or something like that. I was like, well, what happened? And he's like, well, I don't know. I wasn't in there. And I was like, okay. So yeah, that was it. It was over. And like I said, I had assumed that it wasn't going to be open before. That's why I called the courthouse in the first place to double check. But I did think that they were going to come back after they came to whatever agreement or whatever negotiations they were making. I thought at the end they would come and say something after the negotiations were over, but
like Nick accepts the plea or whatever deal is made. Like Nick accepts it or denies it, and then they set a court date. Is what like we were waiting for.
Yeah. I never expected them to sit there and try to negotiate in front of us or anything. But yeah, I thought they would come in and give a statement of on the record of what to do from here.
Yeah.
But that happened. So
Wow. Okay, so I assume you'll leave the courtroom because you're here now. You guys, last time, Nick, and I didn't jump you, but like he kind of popped out of the blue and was like recording you. Were you worried about that happening again? Were you ready? Like we talked about this? What happened?
yeah, I said to the other person, I was like, last time Nick ran downstairs and recorded me as I was coming out. So we have to be ready. That might happen. And, but that was not the case. So, yeah, got down there and, we talked a little bit. Oh, we stopped at the, metal detector, the guy that's running the metal detector. And I asked about tomorrow's court hearing. And I asked if that's going to be open to the public. What is that? And he said, no, that's going to be a phone conference. So I don't think Nick even has to show up to the courthouse tomorrow.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you and the Kiwi farmer were talking, you said?
Just a little tiny bit. I said, did I miss anything before I got there? And they said, no, just some awkward exchanges between Kayla and April.
Wow. What was the Kiwi farmer person like? I mean, you don't have to describe them or anything like that. I'm not trying to dox them, but like, were they just like a regular person? Like, I remember Ethan said a bunch of terrible things about him. I think I saw some video of them a while back, but like,
totally normal. Yeah, totally normal.
just a normal, regular person, just a regular, like you, just showing up to see what was going on.
Exactly. Yep.
Did they share the notes? Did you check the notes out?
I saw them online when I got home.
Were you in the notes? Were they like, this bitch was talking to me and I don't like her?
No.
Yeah. Okay, she should have. That'd have been a better story. Okay, so you know how to play. So you guys leave the courtroom, and I think you said you get in your vehicle, and then there's more to this story. Like, what else happened?
So yeah, I went out to my car and I checked out Breaking Baldo News right away. And they had information.
Shout out to Breaking Baldo News. I talk to him every now and then. He's a real nice person. Been very nice to me. I don't know. He's been with other people. I'm not trying to divide, but Baldo has always been cool to me. So there you go. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was still confused about what was going on, and they actually had the next court date. They knew more than I did, and I was at the courthouse. So, and I said that actually before me and the Kiwi farmer went our separate ways. We were confused. We were trying to remember what the bailiff said, the exact wording of what, and neither one of us could remember what he said. But then right as we were getting ready to separate, I was like, oh, Breaking Baldo News. And I read it out loud. I was like, oh, I guess there's another court date on December 17th. And yeah, we both like kind of giggled and went our separate ways.
Wow. So you told me you're driving and then you like get behind April or something like that. Like what?
Okay. No. So I stayed outside checking some things out, and I got a phone call that I had to take. And while I was sitting there on the phone, they came out of the courthouse. They went across the street to their vehicles. And April went to her truck. I mean, I couldn't see. There was a building in the way, so I couldn't see them when they got in their vehicles. So I didn't see if anybody was hugging or anything like that. But April came out in her truck. And then Kayla and Nick came out in their car, their Lincoln Navigator. And Kayla was driving. So I don't know. So the rumor about April not having a license, I don't think that's true. And then the rumor that Nick might have lost his license might be true.
Oh, from the speeding tickets and stuff like that, right? I assume that's what that is.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I did
Oh.
homework before I go into anything. So yeah, I was reading all the different theories and stuff, and yeah, I saw those things, and just to know what to look out for, and you know, what do people want to know? And
Yeah.
yeah, that's one of the theories out there, and yeah, so Kayla was driving.
Wow. So again, you said they look defeated, like all of them look defeated. What do you mean by that? I kind of want to go over that one more time.
Well, last hearing, he seemed more defiant, and like just that, I don't know, it's like a pent up aggression he seemed to have. Like he was just holding back, like he could have burst at any moment. Is how I felt last hearing. This time, the vibe was much more subdued. Um, a lot of looking at the floor. All three of them looking at the floor a lot. To me, it looked like the girls had been crying like recently, especially April. And I saw in the other person's notes they thought the same thing. I
Wow.
mean, I thought something productive could come of it. I would, but I just don't see anything productive coming from talking to Nick or April. I mean, they seem to be very set, and I don't think anything I say or do is going to change anything. So I don't see the benefit of it. Now Kayla, who knows what she's thinking since she stays offline, and you know, but it does seem like she's determined to stay. That's, you know,
So
that's a choice.
did Kayla and Nick look like a couple, or did April and Nick look like a couple? You know what I'm saying?
Um, it seemed like an awkward throuple.
So it looked like they were all together, like that they're a group, that they are together.
I mean, the only time I saw them all together was standing there in the courtroom. So um, I saw the little interaction with Kayla and April, and they stayed on opposite sides of the hall before we went in the courtroom. So they did not seem like they were together.
So wow. So when Nick was inside the courtroom and stuff like that, and you guys were outside of it, they didn't talk to each other. They didn't hang out with each other. They didn't do anything together or react or anything like that.
No, there was the interaction about the food, and then Kayla walked down the hall, put the food somewhere, and then came back. And when she did, she stood against this wall, facing April. April stood against this wall, so they were on opposite walls.
Wow.
And it didn't really talk that I heard.
Right. You would think they'd be next to each other, hanging out with each other like a solid unit, going to court together. But no, they were separate.
Yeah.
Wow. That's wild. Did they look healthy?
Um, you know, I don't know if they were tired or you know, this is all weighing on them. Um, weight wise, um, yeah, I guess. I know April's always been thin, and um, yeah, Kayla looked. I don't know if it was the outfit or what. She looked a little thinner than the last hearing. Again,
Wow.
might have been people's comments about her after that last video. But yeah, it might have been the outfit. She was wearing black, so yeah, they're all thin.
Did Nick touch him? Like, did he put his arm around any of them? Like you said, Kayla kind of claimed him. Did he put his arm around any one of them other than the hug?
Oh yeah, not after the hug. No.
Wow.
He
Not
was
physical.
standing like with his arms crossed, and Kayla was putting her hand up on his elbow for quite a while.
Wow.
April stood back and just down, back over, down. Yeah, she looked uncomfortable with that.
All right, Kay. Well, it seems like you've said everything that you know about, that you went through. You experienced it all. You're alive, so it didn't kill you. So I think you're going to be okay. You said some really cool stuff today. It was very interesting, and I really appreciate all of that. Is there anything you'd like to say that maybe I didn't ask you?
I don't think so.
Cool. Are you going to go back if there's going to be another one?
Yeah. It's a bad time of year for the roads, so it's going to be dependent on the weather.
Cool. Well, you did an awesome job. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cool. All right. We'll talk to you later.
All right.